Hello and welcome. This is Blanca Vergara from Parenting the Gods. Today we have a brand new guest with us. Her name is Maleene de Ridder. She is a published author with a book Ambitie met een grote M. Yes, the book is in Dutch, but it'll be available very soon in English. My loose translation will be Ambition with a capital M. And the subtitle is really exciting. The subtitle is Living a Life as a Medical Professional, as a Mother, and as Myself. Yes, she's talking about this big contradiction that we women have. We want to be professional, we want to be mothers, and we also want to be ourselves. And that's not always that easy. And she talks about all those conundrums. Maleene, welcome. I'm really excited to have you here.
Yeah, thank you, Blanca. And I'm really pleased to share, well, most insights of my book with you and with your audience. Thank you.
Terrific, terrific. Um, Maleene, uh, take us to the genesis of the book. How did you come up with this idea?
Well, I think I have to go back some 3 years, a sunny summer day, and I spoke a mother at school, primary school of my youngest son. And she's a doctor, and she just had her third baby, and she wasn't happy. And it wasn't about a depression, but she just couldn't figure out how to pick up her work again and how to figure out to be a good doctor and to be a good mother at the same time. And that really, really struck me. And I did work as a coach and a leadership coach with women leaders and with women doctors. And all of a sudden I thought, well, isn't this ridiculous that you just can't live the life you want to live? And in this life, you want to be a professional, a doctor, which is really meaningful and purposeful for you. And at the same time, you want to be this mother. And if when you really struggle how to combine these two roles, it becomes dark, and it shouldn't become dark. It should become light and a great interaction to be a great doctor and a great mother. But for her, it was the contrary. And well, her story was the one that really set me off. But I heard these stories before, and I thought, well, she's not the only one. And there will be many, many women doctors experience the same. So why shouldn't I write a book for them and empower them and help them to figure out finding their own voice, their own way, their own career, their own life? So that's the genesis.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
I really like that you talk about not just the conundrum of being a professional and a mother, but you put number three of being myself.
Yeah. Because, um, working in healthcare, you're really a caretaker and a caregiver. As a mother, you're a caregiver as well. As a partner, as well. And they tend to forget about themselves. But that's the start. If you the start is yourself. You as a person, and you really have to take care of yourself in order to be a good doctor and to be a good mother. So that's why I put this third role, well, to it as well, because if you forget about it, the other two roles, they will be okay, but they won't be as okay as they should be. Yeah.
Yeah, this is so crucial to take care of ourselves, and we just forget it. It
Yeah,
seems
yeah.
obvious, but it is not obvious at all.
Yeah. So my starting message in my book is turn it around. I mean, our pattern as working mothers is just to care for others and to forget ourselves. And you just have to turn it around, not as an egoistic act, but if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of others. And that's a different mindset. And if you don't change that mindset, you can't combine whatever role in your life.
Yeah.
So well, yeah.
Put the
start
oxygen
there.
mask first.
Yeah. And many women, they, if I tell them so, they say, "Oh, I can't because it's too ego." And I said, no, it's not about egoism. It's about setting priorities and knowing how to take care of others. And you need this foundation, because if you don't have this foundation, you can't, well, you can take care for others, well, sometime, but not in a sustainable way.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
no.
Not in a
Yeah,
sustainable way. And,
yeah,
and,
yeah,
and that comes another concept that you discuss in your book, burnout.
yeah, yeah,
Tell
yeah,
us about it.
yeah. Well, burnout, I mean, if you're just struggling all the time, well, I don't have a proper way, but it sucks energy, and you don't nourish yourself. I mean, you don't get energy back. So you really have to know about the life you want to live. You have to know about your ambitions. You also have to know about what your ambitions aren't, what you can just leave behind. And you have to know about setting your priority, and doing your energy management. And if you just don't have clarity on your ambitions, on how to live your life, what's your life path or life journey, chances are so high you can't set any boundaries. And then, I mean, then you start working hard, and you start working harder, and you don't get it into control, and then you get burnout. And women in healthcare, they have this risk, a higher risk to get burnout, because they're so much in this caregiver role that they really forget to take care of themselves. So that's why they're at higher risk. Yeah, and they should really, well, setting boundaries sounds so negative, but it's a way to focus, and it's a way to take care of yourself and to protect yourself. So for me, setting boundaries has a positive connotation.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I also hear it very positive.
yeah, yeah. And then then you can do what you're best at as a doctor, as a mother, as a person. But it's, well, when we just started our conversation this morning, we talked about making choices. And well, for many people, making choices sounds like losing. But for me, making choices is about really focusing and doing what you really want to do most in your life. And then you can just let go of all the other things which aren't important to you. Yeah.
Yeah, making choices. This is just so huge because we all women wanted all.
Yeah.
All is
Yeah,
all.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I mean, the subtitle of my book is Living a Full Life, as a medic, as a mother, as myself. And a full life for me is not wanting it all, but defining what's all for you. And then you can let go of all the other things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you give us an example of that? Maybe one personal or one of your customers.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, let's just focus on the motherhood. What kind of mother do you want to be? I have three sons, and I really love my motherhood and my mother role, but I don't have to be. Well, I don't mind sharing some roles or some practical roles with other people. I don't mind. I don't need to do all the raising up or all the caring for my kids. So I focus on the things in my motherhood which I really think are important, but I don't have to take them to all their classes myself, and they can take care of themselves as well. And I don't have to be a super housewoman. So I let go many roles because I really want to focus on the things in my motherhood, in my partnership with my partner, which are really important to me. And I see, if I compare that to well, younger women, and especially the women doctors, they think they need to do it all. So it's not so much they want to do it all, but they think they need to do it all just to get respect from others. And they think, well, I should do it all, because if I don't do it myself, I feel guilty. I'm not a good mother. I'm not a good doctor. It's this discussion about, well, it's about wanting to do it all, but it's often thinking you need to do it all yourself because you're already a working mother, so you can't delegate it to others. And I think, well, that doesn't work. Then you get burnout.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Because in this desire of doing it all, you think that you become a good mother,
Yeah.
but maybe it's exactly the opposite. I mean, you
Yeah.
have boys, you have to teach them to do stuff independently.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So then, and that's why I said, then you have to sit on your hands and just let them figure out things, or let other people help you. And I think that's important. That if you want to combine these different ambitions, you also should let you help by others and ask for help. I mean, no problem. You can't do it all by yourself,
Yeah,
and that's well, many women
that's
are
huge.
not. They're not trained in asking for help.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I totally agree. That
yeah,
I see that so common, and I keep learning myself. I agree with you that we all need to learn to ask for help. And
yeah.
still, I catch myself trying to carry that bag, trying to arrive on time to that place, and oh, I don't need to do that myself.
No, no. But many women have this voice in themselves and think, oh, well, I'll do it. I mean, then it's faster, it's quicker, it's easier. I'll do it best. But don't ask for help. And when your kids get older, they my kids, they have some tasks in our household, and they don't like it, but they become well, if they grew older and they get partners, they know how to run a family in an equal way, in a normal way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Actually, that's where I wanted to go because in your book you talk also about the role of the partner,
yeah,
and I find it so interesting that you have boys, and I have also
yeah,
a boy. And precisely
yeah,
this morning, you know what we were doing? My boy is 3 years old.
yeah.
He was helping me unload the dishwasher, and he's 3, so he had to put a plate there, and he was so proud.
Yeah,
He was so
yeah,
proud. So
yeah.
I would like to make a bridge between these racing boys and our relationship as mothers with our partners.
Yeah. Well, in Holland, we do have many working mothers. So it looks like a modern country, and we are a modern country. But on the other hand, we still have very hardwired traditional patterns in relationships. And our mothers, well, most of the mothers of the working mothers now didn't work or just had a part-time job. And we copy behavior. So if our mother didn't work and if our parents had a traditional relationship, most people copy that in their own lives, to their own lives. And that's in Holland, that's sort of, well, an issue because most younger women do work, but they're still in this traditional relationship pattern. And then they need to do it all because they have their job, but they also have a second job at home because they do it the way their mother did it, and they don't do it in a more contemporary way. So you should really be aware in what way do I want to have a relationship with my partner, and do I want to copy my parents' relationship, or do I want to figure it out in a more modern way? And from research, many young people, young couples in Holland, they don't discuss these issues because they think it's not important. Their relationship is good, so why bother?
Yeah,
But if you don't bother, chances are so high you copy your parents' patterns. And then, in the 60s, in the 70s, couples in Holland, the woman was the housewife and the man, he earned the money. So if you're not aware of that, you copy the pattern and you get the same your parents got. And I'm not saying that's wrong, but I'm saying you should be aware of it, and you should really, if you have ambitions in your work, that has consequences for your relationship too. And I'm very much aware in that I'm a role model for my boys.
Yeah.
And they should really, well, they see a less traditional relationship with my partner, with my husband, because we both work. Um, and I want to raise my child, my boys, just to show them that you're equals in a relationship, and you should have. I mean, it shouldn't be all exactly you do this, you do that, but it should be not only the mother who's taking the household caretaker. You do it as a team. And you should discuss your ambitions as a team as well, because in these times, women have ambitions and male have ambitions, and you have to share these ambitions. And if you don't share your ambitions, if you don't share your life dreams, chances are high that you will follow the dreams of your husband and you forget about your own dreams. And that's, well, the symbolic behind the title of my book. I call it Ambition with a big N, because you have these three N roles: as a mother, as a medic, and as yourself. And if you forget about finding out your own voice, finding out your own ambitions and path, this big N will diminish into very small N. And then you don't get the life you dream about, you love to live. Yeah. Well, one of the tips in my book is, um, find the partner. I mean, it isn't that rational, but if find the partner which really also is aware that he has a woman with ambition, and that he wants to support you in your ambitions too. And it sounds a bit open door, but it isn't an open door yet. No.
It's not that true.
I know these women doctors. They really. I mean, it's. Well, you really have to study hard for many, many, many years. And lots of women doctors, they copy the traditional patterns, and then they studied for so many years, and they really had a purpose. And then all of a sudden they get children, they fall in the older patterns, the traditional patterns, and their big M, and their dream as a doctor diminishes, and that's not the life they want to live.
Yeah, but practically, and I think you can really answer this question with expertise. How to identify that he's the right guy?
Well, I mean, it's not all I mean, you can't give a recipe for it, and love is unpredictable. But what you can do is have conversations with each other about the life you want to live. I mean, love is you know that's just a mystery. So you can't lead this process to the full, but what you can do is have conversations about it, and have discussions, and really work on being a team, and on supporting the other, you supporting your husband or your partner, and he or your partner supporting you. And I think you have to become a team. And that's different from our parents. They were a team, but in a traditional way. And now you have to become a team in 2014 way, the 2.0 version or the 3.0 version. And you really have to be aware that you're a team, and it's not my husband has a job, a busy job. So I have to take care of all homework, all the caring of the children, and I have a job too. Then you have two jobs. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. So, yeah.
I love this. It's so practical. Having
Yeah.
conversations is key. I feel I am with the best man in the world, and I agree with you that the secret was to have very good conversations, to become friends, to listen. What are your values?
Yesterday, I started a coaching assignment with a young women doctor. She just had her first child. Her husband is a doctor too, so they have two big jobs. And he's just a bit bit ahead of her. So he already has a job in a hospital, and she's still specializing as a resident. And just this difference is in him being ahead of her, gives this well doesn't well gives this chance of not being it equal, that she will diminish and he will get bigger and bigger. And we just discussed, well, even if he's ahead a couple of years, you're still equals, and you should still discuss it as a team. And well, it really, I mean, it's not so innovative what I'm saying, but it's she all forgot about having these conversations and putting him a bit on a pedestal because he was already ahead of her. And I said, well, you don't need to do that. I mean, you're two people, the two roles. Keep keep the relationship in an equal way and do it as a team.
Absolutely, because the business card of each one of the partners doesn't mean that one is superior to the other. And
Exactly. Yeah. 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 But we women have this tendency to do so, and I mean that's not bad, but you should be aware of it, and then you can keep equality. Yeah.
yeah, because it's equality within the realm of the relationship, the family, and in that doesn't matter what happens. Is equal. It's a couple.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And
Yeah.
in your book, you also touch about happiness and working from home versus not working and working. So tell us more
Yeah.
about it.
Well, there are these discussions about should I work as a mother, yes or no, and either way is good with me. I mean, I'm not saying you have to work as a woman, as a mother. You have to make the choice which really fits you best. So I mean, either choice is fine with me, but many women in our country, they say, well, I stopped working because I really want to be there for my children and I really want to be at home and I'm a better mother. But we know from research that working mothers, um, they're healthier and they're happier. And they're healthier and happier because they can combine their ambitions. They don't have to give in on one of them. They can. It's this interaction between your ambitions, being and a mother and a professional, um, which really is fulfilling. And we know not only from research with working mothers or working parents, but we also know from, every year there's this happiness scale. And the people in Bhutan are most happiest in the world, but Holland comes in the top 5 as well. And we also know from research on happiness that fulfilling your ambitions on the professional side, but also on the personal side, but doing and not and or really liberates so much energy and really is so inspirational. And it's not about having it all, but we have so many dimensions in ourselves. And if you only focus on one, where there's still also other ambitions, if you don't let out the other ambitions, you're not as happy as if you can really address a couple of your ambitions. Yeah.
I talk with some stay-at-home moms,
Yeah.
and they really feel bad. They really want to go back to work.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And some of them have lost a couple of years already. Not just in the medical world, but what's your experience with women who are at home for a couple of years? To go back, they have to go a bit lower to where they were.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you recommend? How do you see this?
Well, sometimes there's no choice, and you have to stay at home because your child is sick or needs extra care or whatever. Sometimes women stay at home because they just can't combine all these roles. They're no multitaskers. And they're happy with it. But most women, they have these multiple ambitions. They really want to develop themselves in a professional way and in a personal way, and they really want to combine. And if women take a time out, um, and if they say it's temporary, usually you get in a pattern at home that you're the full-time caregiver, your partner is the full-time earner, and from a time out, from a temporary situation, it often changes in a permanent situation. And without making a deliberate choice, and when it has become a permanent situation, women start to experience those frustrations because they miss their professional life. So well, I would recommend just not to step out of the working process. If your ambitions are on a professional side as well as on a parent side, don't step out. Because it's so hard to get in again.
Yeah, because that would be my question to you. How, do you recommend to what do you recommend to women who want to get back?
Well, if you want to get back, well, if you decide to step out, let's say if you decide to take a time out, don't take a full time out, but just arrange for, let's say, a day or half a day a week to stay connected to your working world in an informal way. Keep reading relevant articles, keep reading the papers, keep in touch with your working world. And that's it. That's important because if you don't stay in touch with your working world, well, you get in another track. And for women doctors, actually, if you take a time out for more than 2 or 3 years, I mean, you're not up to date anymore. So you really have to stay in touch with your world, and you have to stay up to date. So even if you say, I just take a time out for 2 or 3 years, arrange for half a day a week or a day a week, just to stay updated and to stay in touch. And so then my suggestion would be, don't take a full time out, but just try to take a sort of part-time time out. And if you want to get back, very much focus on the area you really like professional. I mean, if you want to get back, you can't be the general professional. Just so try to develop a specialty or an expertise, because then the others really want you because of your expertise. And if you lose your expertise, you're not attractive anymore. No.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And to get back, you have to be flexible as well. Because the women who want to get back and they say, well, I only want to work on Tuesday and Thursdays and Fridays. Life isn't that way. I mean, it's about giving and taking. So if you want to get back, it's also about giving and taking. And not only about setting the rules. Well, this is the way I want to get back, because organizations, they don't like that.
And also in the maybe in the level where you were.
Yeah.
You might need to go down or to go to a lateral shift.
Yeah. It isn't that bad to start or to start again in a lateral shift, because then you really create yourself an opportunity to get used to working and combining the roles, to get it organized at home, because if you want to get back in the working process, do organize it at home, and do over organize it at home so that you don't have 2 or 3 jobs. And many women forget about that. They just organize it in a too small way. They just organize a housekeeper or somebody who does the cleaning up, and that's all. But that's not enough. If you really want to uh, have a career, if you really want to have a job you really like, a challenging job, you have to organize it at home to the full, and you really have to facilitate yourself. And in my experience, especially young women, they tend to forget about this facilitating yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 It's really leadership to organize what's going to happen. And
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
I have a list of my key performance indicators. Per
Yeah.
week, I have to have a date with my husband. Per week, I have to have a date with a girlfriend of mine. It's very important that you
Yeah.
create
Yeah.
that mindset that this
Yeah.
needs to be happening. Once a month,
Yeah.
I need a massage, and I don't know,
Yeah.
whatever it is for everybody.
Yeah,
Well,
and you know, many women, if you speak of a sort of indicators list, many women say, "Oh, well, that's so boring and that's so planned. I don't like it. I like my life and rolling it itself." And then this quote: "If you fail to plan, you plan to fail." So you need to plan.
yeah.
Um, and in my book, I also advise women doctors to develop a plan. And they have to develop a plan to facilitate themselves, just to live the life they want to. Let's say that's I compare it to a rocket, and that's the first rocket, to shoot yourself to the moon and end among the stars, the starlight. And the first rocket is about facilitating yourself, and it's about these key indicators you speak
Oh,
about.
cool.
And the second rocket is, let's say, develop a 3 to 5 year plan for your professional development. Because you can't look ahead 10 or 15 years, but you can look ahead for 3 or 5 years. And do develop a plan for that as well, because then you do develop yourself. And if you don't develop a plan for it, others will develop the plan for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you need not just one plan. You need a plan to facilitate yourself, and you need also a career plan.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah,
there is one thing that is the elephant in the room that
yeah,
still we need to talk about is, well, this is very important for society, for the mother,
yeah.
for the medical profession, because the medical profession needs women there. And what about the children? Is this good for the children?
Well, yeah. Well, for me, that's not an elephant. I mean, if you know what kind of mom you want to be, um, and you facilitate yourself to be that mom, the children will benefit from it as well. If you forget to think about the kind of mom you want to be, then there's this elephant in the room, because then the children will sort of struggle themselves as well. I know a very a young doctor. She's has well, she loves her work, and for she would love to work 100 hours a week, because for her that's so fulfilling. But yet she has this ambition of having children as well, and she has 3 children. And her recipe is, in weekdays from Monday to Friday, I'm a doctor and I can, let's say, indulge in my work. And then I have a nanny, and I do bring my children to school twice a week, and I try to bring them to bed and have a bed moment with them, and not with an A, but with an E, and really have a connection when they go to sleep. And that's her recipe for the weekdays. And in the weekend, she doesn't work, and she's there full time as a mother. And this example just illustrates she really thought of what kind of mom she wants to be, and she really came to the conclusion that she doesn't need to be a full-time, well, she doesn't need to be there full-time for her children to be a good mom. She wanted some moments of connections during the week, but just the practical taking care of, she leaves to the nanny. And in the weekend, she's there to go to sports, to go to musea, just to have fun. And for her, that's the perfect recipe. And it's about finding your own recipe. And I know about moms who says, well, that's not my recipe because I want to take care of all the things I have to arrange for my children. Okay, that's your recipe. It's about finding your recipe and knowing what's motherhood to me and what do I want to give to my children. And if you have clarity about that, sure, it's still a struggle, but you will get there. Yeah,
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 yeah. This is beautiful because he's also a life example. She has become a role model for her children.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
This is
yeah,
order. This is the way you outsource. This is the way you plan.
yeah, 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 yeah. And I mean, role modeling. For the research of my book, I discovered that many women doctors struggle with combining their roles because of a lack of role models. And I think role modeling, we learn so much from the role models. We have learned so much from our own parents. We learn from friends in our neighborhoods. Um, and I think nowadays we lack contemporary role models. And if we get more models who do it, who will show the way, I think other people will get infected by it in a positive way. And we still have very many traditional role models. Just take a look. Working, most women CEOs or women professors are no mothers. And well, there are some young mother CEOs combining it all, but most role models are still very traditional, and that doesn't help in making the next step in emancipation. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Now we're reaching the top of the direction of the conversation, and
yeah,
I would like to ask you. I think the thing that bothers our audience the most, guilt.
yeah.
What do you recommend for these mothers who want to balance it all, but still they feel guilty that they are not being good enough professionals, good enough mothers, or good enough taking care of themselves? How do we manage that guilt?
Well, that's about validation. And are you being validated by other standards, or do you validate yourself by your own standards? And we have this tendency to look at other people and think, oh, what should they think? Um, you know, but it's about your life. So if you know about your own standards, if you know about what makes life so worthwhile for you, um, use them for your validation. And I often show women who's validating you, and then they see that it's the world around us, and it's not. But if you want to live your life, um, you should internalize your own standards. And well, it's about empowering, because people have this, well, the human race has this tendency to conform to other people. And if you do it your way, you stand out of the crowd. And so that makes you different, and it makes you powerful, but it makes you vulnerable at the same time. So it's a bit of empower. It's about developing your own standards, about validating yourself, and it's also about empowering. And I always say, well, it's also about, well, sometimes thinking, oh, you know, um, just making fun of it and saying, okay, they do it that way, but I do it this way, and not taking it too seriously. Use a bit of humor, and just also get used that not all people love your way. I mean, you have a couple of fans, but if you really do it your way, you will have fans, and you will have some. Well, I wouldn't say enemies, but there are also are people who don't like your choices. Well, so be it. Just so be it, you know. And I always say, you know, this is my life, this is my choice, and I'm taking other people's comments seriously, but I validate them to my own standards. And for some people, it's easy. I mean, for me, I'm okay with it, and I know many women, they really have to empower themselves a bit more just to have this mindset and this attitude. Yeah,
Wow, this is terrific.
yeah,
Set your own standards, because we, as with the lack of role models, we take our role model, our mom, but our
yeah,
mom lived 20, 30, 40 years
yeah,
ago with
yeah,
complete different situation.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's just simple history. It has changed.
Yeah, yeah. And if you always do the
Mm,
things people did, you get what they did.
exactly.
And if you want it a new way, you have to create it yourself. And you know, that's a challenging way, but it's also, and it's going, it's a bumpy way, but it's the only way to live, to get what you want to get out of your life. Yeah, yeah. And there's one thing to guilt. I also know that, you know, the example of your mother, I know women, if they choose differently from their mother, they can also develop some kind of guilt to their own mother, and that's because of loyalty to their own mother. And if, well, you know, she made her choices in her time, and you make your choices in your time. So if you're aware of that, I mean, do you make the same choices as your mom because of loyalty to your mom, or do you make your own choices and you can explain them to your mom? And if you're aware of this loyalty conflict, that will help you making your own choices as well. Yeah, yeah,
In my heart, when you have that kind of situation, you, in your heart, you haven't understood your mom. You haven't loved
yeah,
your mom,
yeah, yeah,
because
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
it's
and you
just
know,
different.
making a different choice is not about saying to your mom you did it a wrong way.
Yeah,
No, making your own choice, you have this freedom to make your choice. She had her freedom, and respect
yeah,
each other choices, and honor each other choices.
yeah. An
Yeah,
honor.
but don't say, oh, that's a wrong choice. No, it's, you know, in 2014 you make different choices than in the 60s and the 70s and the
Absolutely,
50s.
absolutely, absolutely. Oh, how delightful to hear that. Ah, well, now we're really in closing. It's
Yeah.
I think we could be talking forever, but if you can, if you may, can you tap into your own intuition and help us close this conversation? What do people need to listen?
Well, well, to me, the word courage comes to mind. The courage to be yourself, the courage to live your own life. And so if you say, yes, I have ambitions as a professional, as a mother, as myself. That's the first step. But to get that realized, it's not only about a plan, um, but it's also about having the guts and the courage just to do it and to stick to your plan. And that's you really need that to get what you want. So courage, and in Dutch we say lef. You know, you need that courage because then, you know, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but the courage really gives you the stamina to 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 do it and to keep on doing it. Yeah,
Yeah, the courage to keep up. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So that's what resonates with me.
With courage we live today, and I hope that today you choose a different kind of risks based on what we learned from this conversation. Maleene, thank you very much for being with us today. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you very much, everybody, for listening to seeing us this time. Connect with us, subscribe to our newsletter. You will hear who will be the next speakers. Connecting to our YouTube channel, you can hear subscribe. Follow us, participate, join us into our seminars, our workshops. We want to change our humanity. We want to change the future of our children through parenting. Thank you very much for being here. Parenting the Gods, healing the humanity through parenting.